Good. How are you?
Good. Hi, Eric. How are you, sweetie?
Doing good.
I love you.
Love you too.
Hey, does Jennifer get shy about dropping F-bombs? Or are you just like, are you being nice
Uh,
to her and not having to translate too many bad words?
it's funny because he and I have had this conversation. I do get uncomfortable with it, so he
Sure.
is actually respecting my boundaries, but sometimes he'll give me one or give me a swear and I will say it if he does. But he's like, "No, I'm trying to be cool with her."
Yeah, just do that. You don't have to curse and make her uncomfortable. Why do it? All right, guess what we're going to talk about? We're going to talk about what's happening to me. It's all about me. Aging. No, it's all about everybody. We all age. So,
Yep,
I want to talk
all of
about
us.
sorts of things about aging. Most of these are very interesting blog member questions. So, are you up for that, Eric?
Absolutely.
Okay. The first is why? Why do we age?
Well, what he's saying is that the body, the physical body, there has to be a time limit on it here. So it's one of the reasons that we age. If we didn't, it'd be like we'd actually kind of want to stay forever, and ideally we don't want to stay forever. So the body has to kind of wear down and slow down. But he says it's also for different experiences. If the body didn't age, there'd be a lot of experiences in the human form that we wouldn't have.
Like what?
Well,
Oh, like the stuff that happens with old age, like dementia and pain, achy joints, things like that. Uh-oh, you frozen. Why does it do this?
there,
Oh,
there
there
you
you are. There you
are.
go. Yeah,
I lost you. What was it that you had said?
no, I kind of answered my own question. The experiences that we would miss out on are just the what goes along with aging, like cognitive failure, impairment, and
Yes,
aches and pains and things
yes.
like that.
And also it would affect other people. Other people need to learn those lessons, especially a big one is the cognitive failure.
What is going on? Why is it freezing all the time? Hey, you guys, can y'all get off of any kind of streaming stuff? We can't do our thing. Stop all streaming. Okay, I don't know why it keeps freezing.
Yeah, interesting.
Okay, it's okay. All right. Wait, what were you saying, Erik?
What he was saying was that oftentimes, in particular with the cognitive failure, it's that happens for the other people in their life to learn something there. Um,
Oh
because
yeah,
that,
because you have to, like I had to take care of my mother and then my father. Uh,
yeah,
so it's
and
it's
it's
humiliating.
like the physical failure does teach lessons to other people, but the cognitive one, it's almost like that has extra layers of learning.
Hmm.
Um, as opposed to just the physical failing of the body.
Yeah, because all of a sudden you really have to take care of
Yeah.
that person, and sometimes it's very difficult.
Yes.
What is the mechanism that? Oh, wait. One other thing I want to say also is that I guess if we lasted in the same body without aging for all perpetuity, then we wouldn't like be able to have different soul contracts with different
Mhm.
people. Like okay, clean the slate. Let's have a new lesson. So I
Yes.
think that's what you're saying, right?
Well, and it would just take away such a big part of the human experience if we didn't age.
Well, why do we have to age? Why can't we just check out? It's like lights switch off at this exit point. Why do we? Oh, because we have to learn from the.
We have to learn, yeah, from the illnesses and from all of what comes with aging. And it's not even just what he's saying is for people who become very, very ill, because some people age and they don't become very, very ill, but even for them what happens is start to be able to do less of what they could do before.
Yes.
So there is, even though they don't age like some people do, they age much more gracefully, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
They still lose some of the abilities that they had when they were younger. They have more limitations, and that is all part of the experience. Some people don't age and they check out before they've aged,
True.
because that's what it was for them this time. But the aging process is a huge part of the learning lesson for us.
Yeah. Yeah, like he died in his sleep. Well, what is the
Yeah.
mechanism that causes aging exactly?
Uh, wha-
On a spiritual level or whatever.
Well, I actually keep hearing DNA. It's how the body is designed. The
Okay.
body is designed from day one to start aging,
Okay. So
basically.
it has to probably do with the telomeres, at the end of genes or something that sort of shorten and shorten and shorten and shorten until, is it that?
Yeah, well, what he's saying is it's how the cells in the physical body are designed. It's just it's done that way on purpose. So
Okay.
there's no stopping it. Basically, it's the
Okay.
DNA. Some people might consider it science.
Okay.
You
It
know.
probably has to do with telomerase and shortening the little the telomeres. Is complicated. Look it up. Google. Anyway, are there any life forms here on Earth that don't age? Anything like plants and sharks? I don't know anything.
No, what he's saying is every living thing here eventually um, dies. It eventually dies or cycles through. For certain plants, there is a death and then a rebirth. But no, for every living thing here, there's well, and it's not just that, but there's a vulnerability to outside. For every living thing, there's a vulnerability to outside influences.
Oh, sure.
Um,
But I mean, there might be is there a life form, for example, that yes, they die, but they don't age?
No, and well, it's what's interesting about that is it's like kind of like we are. What he's saying is kind of like we are. The physical body dies, but the soul crosses back
Yeah.
over, and then the aging process doesn't exist for us anymore, and then we come back in and we age again. So
That's
when you ask that question, it's like yes and no, because really for us we die because we've aged in the physical body, but the soul, while it has grown, hasn't aged like what the physical body does.
oh, yeah, that makes sense. But for example, is there a plant or whatever that they just look exactly the same and are the same physiologically, but then boom, they die. In other words, no physiology of aging.
No, because I still what he's showing me is like it would have to have initially come from something
Okay.
littler, like a sprout. So there would have been a physiological change.
Okay. Is there a cure for aging or can it be reversed?
No, it can be slowed. It can be slowed down, and actually there's many ways to do that. But no, there is not a cure for it, because aging in and of itself is not an illness.
Ah,
It's not an illness. It's
okay.
part of the process here.
Part of the human condition.
Hmm.
Uh, why do some seem to age quickly and some more slowly? I think you already answered that because for some they need the human experience of the aches and pains, or their caretakers need to learn to deal with somebody who is completely dependent and
Yeah,
cognitively impaired and all that, right?
but there is also like for people who abuse substances, the aging process that will happen faster. Now, if it was part of their soul contract that they were just going to come here and they were going to have a substance abuse issue, that's different. But some people do have the choice, the free will decision to get help and maybe to not do that. Um, living and staying in abusive situations, there's a lot of stuff that we do here that maybe we have the free will to change while we're here, that if we don't, we might age less gracefully, we might age quicker. than if we did use our free will to kind of get ourselves out of these stressful situations, because stress absolutely adds to the aging process. It quickens
I
it.
can tell you that for sure, because after
Yep.
Eric died, I aged so quickly. In just a matter of months. It was
Hmm.
alarming, really. I remember the first time I realized that I was aging. I was like 40 maybe. I looked in the mirror and I thought, oh my God, what happened? Because I felt 20 inside. It's just
Yes.
you look at yourself and, what?
Yes.
But are there any benefits other than the human experience, the lessons? Are there any other benefits other than what you mentioned, Eric, to aging?
Well, yeah, for some, it does prepare you to leave here. Because even though when we do cross, we go to the other side, not all of us know that. Not all of us realize that. So death is very, very frightening for many, many people. So sometimes the aging process is almost like, especially with the illness, it's almost like a preparation. And for some, by the time they actually get to the point where they've died, they're ready to go, because the aging process has been difficult, or the illness has been very, very difficult. And so it helps them to let go a little bit easier. For some, that's what it is.
Yeah, it's like, F this, I'm out of here.
Yeah, well, I'm
I'm
ready to
just
go.
nothing on the other side. I'm done. Okay. My father went through that. He was in severe pain, and he was the kind of guy who thought, I'm supposed to be immortal. He was, of course, an atheist. And at the end, he begged for death.
Yeah.
The pain was so bad. So, what are the things besides stress and substance abuse accelerate the aging process, Eric?
Okay, so are there any forms of abuse, mental, physical, abuse, will age people faster? Um, Stress. So stress comes from many different areas. Uh, People who give to others so much and don't take care of themselves. They're just giving, overworking. These are all things that can add to the stress and to the aging quicker, because he says so often here on earth, it's so much easier to focus outside of yourself. So people have the tendency to focus on everybody around them and the situations around them, and they neglect what's going on with themselves. And so sometimes what that creates is a disconnect between the mind and body. And so what he's saying is, oftentimes that we'll get indications that something's a little off, that there's too much stress, that we need to put time into ourselves, but we're so focused on other things that we miss those signs.
I see.
um
So, does it mean
yeah.
narcissists age more slowly?
uh it actually, on some level, yes. Yeah,
Oh,
on some level.
should we
But
reward
he's
for that?
what he's saying is that a lot of times that is um, a physical, uh, a physical manifestation, because narcissists in particular become very, very good at denying all that stress and all that turmoil. They deny it. It's not that it's not there. So it is deep inside there, but they're just really, really good at creating this kind of fantasy world for themselves.
Oh, yeah.
So that, yeah, that can sometimes, slow down the aging process.
Okay. Uh, are there what sorts of things, and you sort of alluded to this, that there were these things. What sorts of things do slow it down? It won't, or even stop it. I put here, but of course it can't be stopped. So, what sort of things can you do um, to to slow aging down? And this blog member also goes on, if you were to recommend 3 products or methods for controlling aging to apply on the face and arms, or whatever, to consume, and 3 methods or products to consume, like superfoods, what would it be? So can you name a few, like topicals or consumables or methods of any sort?
Yes. So diet and exercise.
Oh
Uh,
God,
yeah,
no,
diet. They're
this
at
is
the top of the list. They're at the top of the list. A healthy diet
I
and
hate you,
physical
Erik.
activity.
Hate you.
Yes. He's laughing, by the way. He is absolutely laughing his butt off at you. But
Ugh.
they are the top two: diet and exercise. Of course, sleep. Making sure that you sleep well. Collagen and CoQ10 are two things that I'm hearing topically. And as far as with the eating, the greens, the fruits and the vegetables, but also a balance. A balance of food and exercise. It doesn't have to be, this crazy regimen, just some sort of activity as long as it's okay with, what you're allowed to be doing. But those are the top two.
Well, what about
Because
exercise? Would this work if I have a glass of wine and the bicep? Oh, I feel the burn. Oh, honey, I feel the burn. Would that count?
he said, you wish. But no. Okay, so the diet and the exercise, because what he's saying is that with the aging and slowing down the aging process, it really needs to come from inside the body out. So the
Oh,
stuff that we can put on topically, now this is not counting surgeries and that kind of stuff. This is just the topical stuff. That is surface. It's very, very surface.
yeah.
The diet and the exercise is the stuff that comes from within the body and it extends outward. It touches on the whole body, not just the the skin, basically.
All right. Well, what sort of foods do you recommend, and what do you mean by balance?
Okay, so the fruits and the vegetables, green vegetables is what he keeps flashing for me. Like leafy greens, where you're going to get your fiber and your other nutrients in there that oftentimes we just eat because we're hungry and there's something there. We're not actually getting the nutrition that the body needs.
Mm.
So the balance is, am I getting enough fiber? Am I getting enough protein? Am I getting enough, of my vitamins in the diet? That's the balance. And it is different for everybody, and not everybody, it's not just one diet that will fit for everybody.
Okay.
Some people do need higher protein depending on their physical activity. Some people can't have, wheat and dairy and that kind of stuff. So it really is person by person what your body needs.
Okay, so how do we find out? Do we go to a nutritionalist or something, or
Yeah.
holistic medicine practitioner, maybe? Or
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, somebody who would work very heavily with the nutrition. There is also blood tests and blood work that you can do to test your sensitivity. Not everybody would be able to do that just because financially, but for the people who can, there is lab work that you can have done to see what kind of foods are best for you. But
what if
yeah,
they could just book a session with you and ask Erik? There we go.
yeah,
All right.
yeah.
So, what about semi-starvation? Because a lot of these people in like Russia and China, they barely eat and they live until they're 2,000 years old. Not really, but they live a long time. What's up with that? Is there something that it's sort of hovering on the line between life and starvation that helps slow down the aging process?
Well, it's what Erik is actually saying more. It's more about consuming like what we consume with the chemicals. Um, so like they're just consuming less of the chemicals and less of the harmful stuff, less of the processed stuff.
Yeah.
And that plays a big role. The processed foods, the chemicals, that does factor into what happens to our bodies. And so, in certain countries, because then there are some countries where the starvation is too far,
Yeah.
but where they eat very, very little, well, they're just consuming a lot less chemicals.
Yeah. And when you're starving, your wrinkles accentuate. If you're fat, like
Mm-hmm.
it stretches
Yeah.
the wrinkles out. I like it.
Yeah.
Except, in my thighs, my worst part. I have wrinkles there, so I don't need it to puff up. Anyway, that's another story. What about herbs? Any herbs that help?
Yeah.
Any
So,
supplements? Well, we talked about supplements. Any herbs?
um, Yeah, and actually, I'm what he's showing me is actually herbs, like on the skin, like herbs for the skin, not just consuming, but
Oh,
like certain herbs um for the skin to help, and also he just showed me coffee grounds too, like
wow.
for, you were talking about your thighs and stuff, and he's like the coffee and like that kind of stuff will help to, like a scrub will help to freshen the skin. But then yeah, herbs, um, and actually I'm hearing like certain Chinese herbs, the names of which I'm not going to be able to get because I do not understand.
Yeah.
Too big, but there are certain like Chinese herbs that will help, that you can take internally. This would be something like an acupuncturist or a holistic doctor like you had mentioned before.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there are, what I'm seeing is like you take them internally and they will improve the appearance of your skin.
Oh, okay. Now, what about shaga tea or shaga even? Shaga mushrooms are they're found on they grow on birch trees in the northern parts of the world, and it seems like the people that drink shaga tea every day, these people from Russia and China and northern Canada, it's like they they don't age as quickly. Is there something behind? It's supposed to be, you know, 30,000 times more potent as far as an antioxidant as green tea is, for example.
Yeah, and what I am hearing is that if you're drinking this, you need to follow the directions for it. Like it's like not something you just consume, and especially at first, like if you decide to start doing this, you need to kind of follow the instructions and the rules for it. But yeah, there is something to that, but it's, again, don't just get it and like consume massive amounts of it.
Okay.
You have to do it carefully. But there's also he's talking about the, like the coldness, the cold, and it's interesting, as far as like the aging process, the colder areas, sometimes people will age less because the cold temperatures
Oh, we
help.
get preserved more. And
Yeah,
the trees are burnt, and then we look like crap.
what I'm hearing is like there are some therapies, like the ice therapies, the very cold therapies, that can help with some of the aches and pains of the aging process. And I
Please
can't.
do, I went to this gym once, a million years ago, when I actually cared about gyms. And there was one area where you would get in a hot tub, it was really hot, and then you go to this small diameter plunge pool that was ice.
Mhm,
Oh my God,
mhm.
you feel so alive after that. And
Yeah.
what about like can you use any kind of energy healing, light healing, Reiki,
Oh,
any
you.
other methods, or are we able to, for example, self heal with the help of our spirit guides? Or, in other words, are there any spiritual techniques that can?
Oh, absolutely. The light therapy, like you said, the Reiki, the chakra cleansings, meditation. This stuff is all like tools, basically, like tools in the basket that you can use to help with this stuff, and it creates an overall wellness of the body.
Hmm,
So the food, the exercise, the spiritual connection. Um, but he said even with everything, if you do everything, you're still gonna age.
oh
Um,
yeah, can't get
but
rid of
but you can do it with less pain, less discomfort, and
that.
that's what a lot of us are missing.
All right. I'm wondering if part of that light healing and Reiki stuff just, but in one way, just it helps to address the stress that is behind the aging.
Yeah, that is one of the aspects of it, and plus it's like when you focus on feeling better, that's where your focus is, and you're
Ah,
you're going to kind of bring that energy in.
okay. Uh, is there any self healing for dementia or anything we could take for dementia or forestall dementia, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah, there's definitely, in particular, medications that will slow down dementia, uh, and stall it. How he's kind of making me feel is, for the most part, once it sets in, that path is very, very rarely veered off of.
Oh, yeah, I can
It's
imagine.
once somebody's on that path, we're really looking at slowing it down. Um, and it so there is ways to prevent it beforehand, diet, exercise, herbs, this kind of thing. But if it is in your soul's chart,
Then you can't.
then you can't.
What about low dose naltrexone? Does that help prevent dementia?
Slow it down.
Mhm.
Slow it down.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
It helps everything, I swear. All right, this one person wants to know, is there really a fountain of youth, or is it just a legend?
Uh, Again, it's interesting. Not here, but
Oh,
it's
elsewhere.
almost, yeah, it's almost like there is a fountain somewhere of.
Where is it? Give me the GPS coordinates now.
No, it's on the other side. It does not exist in this
Okay.
plane.
All right. Now, here's one from somebody. Is it true that the early Bible days people lived hundreds of years? And if so, why?
No, no, not here, not here in this lifetime. No, not hundreds of years.
Oh, okay. Wait, what was there a time when people lived hundreds of years here
It's
on Earth?
no. This happens in other incarnations.
What do you mean?
Um,
Like as
Other planets.
other planets?
Other
Okay.
planets, not here on Earth. Earth's atmosphere is not designed for us to live hundreds of years on.
Oh, okay.
And it has to. He's saying it has to do with the atmosphere here.
Okay. Now, this guy says, or girl, I don't know. There are a lot of new nutraceuticals out there promising to reverse aging at a mitochondrial level, like Elysium and MitoQ. Do any of these products actually work, or just money making hype? In other words, um, addressing the mitochondria, does that help at least slow down aging?
Yeah, and there is some help, but so some of those words are just flashy, like reversing. It's not really reversing.
Okay.
But if you're not using anything, you're not doing anything, and then you start using topical stuff or internal stuff, you will notice a difference. You will notice that your skin is looking better or brighter. So you'll look better. It has not actually reversed the aging process, but it's taken you from where you were and made you look better and feel better.
Well, what
But
about the supplements, the supplements, the oral supplements
mhm.
that operate on a mitochondrial level?
Yeah, again, it's like you'd be getting nutrients and you'd be getting vitamins and stuff that maybe you needed.
Ah,
So you would feel the difference and you would feel better. But as far as reversing aging,
oh no.
no.
Slow it down.
No. Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Well, which do you think is, maybe they're both tied for first place? I don't know. Elysium or MitoQ?
So how Eric is making me feel about that is, it's like what one thing might be better for me and the other better for you.
Ah, okay. So you just
So I try, yes, alternate.
okay.
Yep.
There were rumors of a Russian or German count, a favorite of the French court, called Count de Saint Germain, who supposedly never aged and just reinvented himself over years. He is alleged to have been Francis Bacon and possibly Shakespeare in some literature. Is that really true?
No, it's just it's a myth. It's a story.
Okay.
It's really a story based about reincarnation.
Oh, okay. Okay, here's one. I'm interested in aging and pre-birth planning. How much detail is in the plan about the aging process, the spiritual plan? Like, do we agree to have Alzheimer's, arthritis, poor hearing, limited sight in advance? Well, we kind of answered that,
Absolutely.
right? There,
Yep, absolutely.
yeah. Is it ever not? Does it ever happen when it's not part of our spiritual plan?
Okay, so what I'm getting is that sometimes we write stuff into the spiritual plan where our free will decisions, we could maybe avoid
Oh,
something if used our free will to take different paths. But it's like, okay, if your free will sets you on that path, it's going to happen. So in the same sense, yes, I would say that sometimes it isn't part of the actual plan, but it ends up being some of that free will that we have here, that does come up, even if it's not part of the plan that's absolute.
okay. And yeah, some of the free will get us into all sorts of stressful situations as we get
Yeah.
closer to age.
Yes,
We have
absolutely.
free will to hang out and get fried to a crisp and have nasty looking skin after a while. Anyway,
Yes.
I have a very specific question about aging as it relates to menopause. Since my doctor and my menopausal friends' doctors seem to have so few answers about it, there are some strange symptoms that seem to come with the menopause-like internal tremors, internal vibration feelings that are tremors only felt but not seen on the outside. Most
Uh-huh.
doctors chalk it up to anxiety, but this little known symptom of menopause can happen many times when a woman is perfectly happy and calm. What causes this? So this internal tremors.
Yeah, this is a hormonal. This is actually a hormonal issue, and what I'm hearing is that it's for people who are particularly sensitive in this area, just more sensitive. So other
Oh,
people might be actually experiencing it, and they're just not feeling the physical, because some people are very disconnected from their bodies.
oh
So
yeah.
whoever's asking this question is probably very, very connected to her body.
Okay.
um but it's not in your head.
So does that mean the person's really grounded to earth when they're in the body like that?
Well,
Really into their
it,
body?
they're not necessarily, I mean, yes, to earth, but the mind body soul connection is
Okay.
very, some people live up here, and some people live through their, the whole body.
I gotcha. Oh, if my husband went through menopause, he'd be that internal, those internal vibrations. He's so grounded. They would cause an earthquake. All right. I want to know why a few people look older even from a small age, a young age, I guess. Is it because they are old souls who have a lot of wisdom?
Yeah, so it's interesting. Whoever's asking this question, sometimes you are seeing something extra, something that's not actually there. Everybody might not see it.
Oh,
So yes, she's seeing older souls. So when she looks at
interesting.
somebody young and they appear older, or he, whoever's asking that question, looks at somebody younger and they appear older to you, it's because you're seeing the fact that they're an old soul. Not everybody's able to see that.
Okay, now let's talk about this just popped into my head. I don't know, there's probably not any room in this tiny head of mine, but progeria, you know, that disease where babies are born and they just age real rapidly and look
Yes.
like little old men by the time they're 2 years old, or little old women.
Uh-huh.
What's going on there, Eric?
Soul contract.
Well, that sucks. Now,
Yep,
tell
that
me
is.
more about that. What kind of contract is that?
Well, it's definitely okay. That is it's a very difficult one. It's why there's not a lot of that, because it's a very difficult life.
Mm.
And it's not one that everybody's willing to come in and experience, or come in and be a part of that experience. So those souls who come in to experience that are older souls, for sure, very, kind of advanced souls. um, and it's just part of the soul contract, part of something that particular soul wanted to experience.
Yeah, but to learn what or to teach what?
Well, there's so much to learn there. Physically, emotionally, it's an overload. It's basically an overload of lessons, because it's the physical lessons, but then the emotional lessons of being different, and possibly being picked on, ostracized. So I mean, it's just like it's just so many lessons. It's hard to narrow down.
These elevated souls figure, well, I can take it on, put it on.
I can,
They're
yeah,
at the salad bar and they just heap everything on. Boom, boom,
yeah,
boom.
yes.
All right. So what about, obviously it must teach something to the people the parents and other people who are caretakers, right?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It teaches them compassion. It teaches them love. It teaches them fear, which is unfortunately one of the lessons we need to learn. Loss.
I was gonna say lost because these kids don't live that long.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
you're already coming in with a kid that is probably not gonna survive.
Not gonna. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Not an easy lifetime.
Well, is it ever the case that it's another life that these kids come from where they really enjoyed being old because they were the town elder and everybody revered them and all that? And that was the best time of their life? So they come in saying, I want to look like shit early.
um, no, no, that's not because that's not what it is. That's maybe they did have a life where they loved being old, but that's typically not why they would do it, because they would just pick a life where they lived to be very, 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 very old. Um, it is truly to experience um, all of that emotion, all of that illness, all of that in a short period of time.
Oh, poor little things. When we age past 40, so many things change on every level. This person says, I personally feel a deeper spiritual connection. So I'm wondering if as we age, we are more mindful of our thoughts and it's easier to process our experiences a bit easier. That probably is a case by case basis.
Erik just said that's the idea.
Yeah.
That that's the idea, but that's not always what happens.
Right.
Yeah,
So
because you have so much life experience already that, moving forward, the idea is you take that life experience and you learn to use it to your benefit so that the next bit of years aren't as difficult, because
yeah.
you have that experience behind you, but it just does not work that way all the time.
No. In her case, maybe, or his case.
Yes.
But yeah.
Yep.
All right. Is the belief in meditating and talking to your body, asking your own DNA to wake up and activate to heal yourself, a conscious thing so that you must believe it, or is it something you need to ask spirit to do for you?
Okay, so those are not mutually exclusive. When you meditate, you do both. You work with your own body, and you call on the spirit world to help you.
Oh,
So if you're going to meditate, do both of those things. They're not mutually exclusive. Don't just do one or the other. Do both. That
okay.
will be the most effective.
Then does that work? Can you wake up and activate your DNA?
You can't. You
Heal your
can't.
DNA or anything?
And we do have the ability to heal ourselves, and a lot of it is our thoughts, our perceptions, but we can't just cure everything that's wrong with our bodies, because if it's not meant to be, then we can't. But you know Erik is talking about like depression. Depression, for instance, um, you can work with yourself a lot of the time and kind of take yourself out of that mental space,
Uh,
and ask your body and ask the spirit world for help. And if your perception is in a better area, you will feel better. So we do have the ability to heal ourselves. Now, we can't, like he said, heal everything. We just can't.
oh no. All right, here's one. Hi, Elisa. More of a comment than a question. Does anyone love aging? All I can think of is that it humbles you. I remember saying to my mom, why can't you read this? And now I'm the one saying, I can't see this. I need my cheaters. Glasses, I guess. I was such an asshole, she says. Yeah.
Yes.
So, does anybody like it?
Yes, yes. Because there are a lot of people here who hated being children. and
Oh,
teenagers.
oh.
So yes, absolutely, there are people out there who just love getting older.
Okay. Let's see. A lot of these I've already asked. Why do a lot of spirits appear younger than the age at which they passed?
Oh, well, that's kind of how we all do it over there. We just look younger, we look healthier. For anybody who passed and had maybe become very, very thin, like from cancer or an illness, oftentimes if they appear to loved ones, they'll have a little more weight on them, because they can, because
Good.
because we're still a little concerned with how we look over there.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's see. Are there any effects on non-invasive cosmetic surgery that we don't know about, uh, other than like fillers, Botox?
Yeah, yeah. Any ill effects that we don't know about?
Maybe that's yeah. Are there any effects? Well, I'm not sure. Is Botox good for our body? And what are the long-term effects?
Okay, so the long-term effects have been studied, and for certain things Botox is very, very effective. So the long-term effects of Botox have been studied, and it is, it is okay. Not that there aren't going to be people who have side effects from it and issues from it. I assume this person is asking for cosmetic reasons, but Botox has been used medically for far more years than it has been used for the
Cosmetically.
cosmetically.
Okay.
And so there's always a risk when you put something into your body that does not belong there. There just always is.
Mm.
So that would be something, again, a case by case basis. Some people could fill themselves up with Botox and have no problem. Somebody else gets a little bit of Botox and they have an issue.
Yeah. Okay. Is there anything that has not been discovered yet? That
Oh, absolutely. There's stuff coming all the time.
oh, good.
There's
Yes.
new
Oh,
technology coming all the time.
all right, Eric. Do you have anything else to add, or Jennifer, if you have a question to ask about it, then that's fine.
No, he's just, number one, he did want me to say this back when you had mentioned about how stress affected you after he passed. And
Mm.
he said you look younger now than you did right after he passed. So the stress, you were able to alleviate some of that stress because he says your face looks happier.
I put Shada serum on my face.
Oh, yeah, yeah. So he was talking about how nice your skin looked.
Well,
Um,
you can help me, man. Get your skin steamer like at night, just like okay, wrinkles. Yeah. I actually
uh,
don't care. I don't care
yeah.
about aging. I'm just teasing. It's like it's better than the alternative, seriously. As long as I don't get too
Yeah,
decrepit and feel bad.
yeah, and actually, when you were talking about the helping and stuff from that side, it it really is more about helping with our pain than
Yes.
our physical appearance. So
Yeah.
we can call on them to help with the pain, but the
Yeah.
physical appearance, it's like, it's not a top priority.
Yeah.
So
Or just the ability to be able to see and read, and just the cognitive impairment, or
mhm.
the weakness. I'm not able to do as much as I could. Like I raised 5 kids, like all like 2 years apart, had a full time practice, and I didn't feel it. I felt great. Now I
Yeah,
have to take care of that 2-year-old grandson of mine. It's like I can't imagine having 5 of them. Oh my god.
yeah.
It's like
Well,
I would if I knew that I would have had 5 kittens, but
yeah,
instead. But anyway, okay. So you guys, Jennifer, her website is up and running.
yes, it is.
www.psychicmediumjenniferdoran DORAN.com, and I will
Yep,
put it here. And you guys check out Eric's 2 books. Well, my book is My Son in the Afterlife, Conversations from the Other Side, and that details my journey as a skeptic raised by atheists to a believer. And his book is My Life After Death. If you want a complete detailed description of what death is like, the afterlife, what it's like to be a spirit, what happens on a day-to-day basis, even though there's no time to be a spirit, then check it out. It's a real page turner. And Eric, I love you. You guys, the bottom line is you cannot avoid aging. So sign up for AARP. Yeah. My new sponsor, Geritol, AARP. Here I come. Find me. And that's it. Thank you. Anything else you want to say, Jennifer?
Erik just said, love you, Mom.
I love you, baby.
Bye,
Bye.
guys. Thank you.
Thank you.